Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Hope you're doing well. So I just want to go over Book 3, Chapter 34 of Eusebius' Ecclesiastical History. This series, I'm going over why I do not think Eusebius is credible. I believe that he was modifying church history to centralize power in Rome, and this is just another example. Alrighty. So out of Book 3, Chapter 34, all it says is this, which you see in quote. In the third year of the above-mentioned reign, if you look at the previous chapter, it talks about Trajan. Now he reigned from 8098 to 8117. Clement, Bishop of Rome, committed an episcopal charge to Eusebius in the part of his life after superintending preaching of the divine word 9 years. Okay, so that would have been 8092 to 8101. Now I have read Clement of Rome, his works. I have a video on it actually. Why I believe he was actually part of the house of Israel. When I read his writings, it heavily suggests that. And if that's true, which I believe it is, there's no way he was even around this time. But anyway, so this out of that video, this is actually the first PDF. There's actually more than one PDF here. But in chapter 0 of Clement of Rome's writing, it begins with, this is what raised a red flag, the church of God which sojourneth at Rome to the church of God which sojourneth at Corinth. So stop right there. You will never see anywhere in the New Testament Paul write to another person like that, where usually he says, I, Paul, identify who he is as a person, and he's writing to the church of Rome, those who are at this church at this particular location, whatever it might be, okay? Philippians or Ephesians or Thessalonica, so forth. Ephesus, not Ephesians, but so on and so forth. So that right there tells me that this is a rewrite, modification to Clement's writings. And it points heavily to Eusebius under Constantine. It's all about trying to centralize that power around Rome. Alrighty. So what better way to do it, to take somebody who's writing who's actually a part of the house of Israel and go and modify it and center it around Rome. Now, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's a seminary grad, and he told me that he learned that under Constantine, Emperor Constantine, now Constantine is around the same time as Eusebius, okay, that he destroyed Jewish history. And prior to that conversation, I concluded that under Constantine, there had been modification to church history. I didn't know anything about destroying history. So when he told me that, I'm like, that makes sense. By doing that, by destroying history, it allowed him to rewrite history and get away with it. It makes perfect sense. So anyway, again, when I read his writings, it heavily suggests he was a part of the house of Israel, could not even been around after AD 73. If we go to Philippians 4:3, Paul's writing to the church of Philippi, and I urge you also, true companion, help these women who labored with me in the gospel, with Clement also, and the rest of my fellow workers whose names are in the book of life. That is suggesting that Clement and whoever is referring to here was who part of the book of life were part of the house of Israel. The book of life pertained at that time to the house of Israel. All part of the judgment of the 12 tribes of Israel in the book of Revelation. Alrighty. This does not mean that our name can't be in the book of life. That's not what I'm saying at all. It was directly applicable to the house of Israel at that time. The Gentiles that are grafted in, who become born again, yes, they are part of the book of life, but they're not part of the book of life that's talked about in the book of Revelation. Alrighty. It's pertinent to the judgment of the 12 tribes of Israel. You and I being a Gentile, were you part of the 12 tribes of Israel? No. What tribe are you in? You don't even know, okay? So they are our spiritual mother, okay? the bride of Christ, and we're the offspring. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, yeah, so that heavily suggests, now the name Clement, it was a common name, okay? The name Clement was common back then, however, not as common to be within the house of Israel, if it's the same person. All right, so Philippians 4:3, if it's the same person as Clement of Rome, okay? If we look at the timeline, when was their last day of the house of Israel? If you look at my timeline, their last day was on September 22nd, AD 73, and which in the Hebraic calendar was Tishri 5, which is the half time of the Yom Teruah. And we're talking about the time and half a time. So there's time, times, and half a time. It's centered around the 40th anniversary of Passover of Christ. Okay, so remember, God works in increments of 40 years when it comes to judgments. Okay, so Jesus Christ died on the cross 40 years later to today. It brings us to April 11th of AD 70 in the Gregorian calendar. And so happened that the first day the two sticks became one stick. The stick of Joseph and stick of Judah. Prophesied in Ezekiel 37. That was the first day they became one stick. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make here is Clement, if he was a part of the house of Israel, which reading his writings, how suggests he was, the one that's labeled Clement of Rome, he could not have been alive on the earth. He could not have been on the earth after September 22nd, 1873. He would have been the one that had been taken up. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. He had shouting the Lord and the trumpets. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 talks about that as the Yom Teruah. And if you read earlier on in the chapter, it talks about the Gentiles. That tells you, that's a clue right there, that Paul cognitively focused on the Jewish people as he's writing that. You're not going to tell Gentiles about Gentiles. You're going to talk to Jews about Gentiles. And so that's heavily suggests that chapter, he was cognitively focused on the Jewish Christian in, Second Thessalonians. First Thessalonians, yeah. So it's the Church of Thessalonica, the Jewish Christian area in the Church of Thessalonica. Now people come back and say, well, the majority were Gentiles there. That is completely irrelevant. As long as they're a Jew being a light unto the Gentiles, he is focusing on the Jewish Christians, and it's up to them to discern what to share with the Gentiles, as the prophecy of in Isaiah, a few places in Isaiah being fulfilled in the first century, the Jew being a light unto the Gentiles. The number of Gentiles in scale compared to Jews is completely irrelevant. Completely irrelevant. So, anyway. Yeah. So I believe what happened here was Eusebius took advantage of his writings, relabeled it. It should have been Clement of Philippi. He took his writings, relabeled it as Clement of Rome, and then modified his writing, start off the Church of God at Rome. It should be Clement at Philippi, just like Paul would have, be consistent in the New Testament, is how Paul wrote, and then to probably name some people at the Church of Corinth, or Corinth in general, but this is not consistent with how Paul wrote. And it's just really suggests right here, it's just another lame attempt by Eusebius to try to centralize power around Rome. What you see in the red, it never centered around Rome. Alrighty. So yeah, you have right here. You have links to my videos where I talked about it, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Yep. Alrighty. All right, well, I think that's all I have. Just another example. Now, it's just totally conclusive. No, this is based on my conviction, my maturity, my walk, and understanding the house of Israel, and so forth. Most Christians are not. They don't even. Most Christians don't even have a clue about the house of Israel, what all entailed, and it's a mess. Anyway, that's all I have. So thank you for watching, and thank you for taking your time and your interest in looking into the reliability of Eusebius. I am absolutely certain that Eusebius rewrote history, trying to centralize power on Rome, and he modified a lot of writing. He probably the one that came up with the label Church Fathers, which is an extremely effective psychological label that had an impact on Christians into putting way too much trust in fallible writings. It has been very effective. Just the power of a label, Church Father, the impact that it's had on Christianity. I've had a conversation where, and it's not uncommon, where they treat them as if they're infallible, as if they're the Word of God themselves. That's how strong and powerful that label, Church Father, is amongst many believers today. So it is what it is. All right, well, thank you for watching, and you have an awesome day.